Hi everybody, it's Mike from Here the Watchman, and today on the Watchman's Report, I am so blessed to have with us a wonderful woman who's written an amazing book. Her name is Karen Rogers. The name of the book is Racing with My Shadow. She happens to be America's first leading female jockey. And, you know, if you think this book's about horse racing, you're absolutely wrong. I mean, she has an incredible story to tell. And here's something that really touched me. You know how in a book, in the first couple of pages, people they thank people that influence their lives? The first person that she thanks, she says, "To God, who revealed the truth and set me free." Now think about that. The next person that she thanks is her own mother, who she says, who really did love me through it all. And then she says, "And I love you." Karen, thank you so much for joining us today on the Watchman's Report.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike, and God bless your ministry.
Well, Karen, we thank you for your support. Before we get into our actual interview here, I want to let people know we're going to be in Boise, Idaho, August 18th through the 20th, conference at the Riverside Hotel. Amazing speakers, Michael Boldea, Messianic Rabbi Zev Porat, who's coming all the way from Israel to talk to you. This is a man who goes out in the streets of Israel, and just got back from China, where in China he went into the streets and ministered the word of Jesus to people and preached the Bible and converted people. He's boots on the ground, he's in the streets. We have L.A. Marzulli coming, Russ Dizdar coming, just some amazing people. Coach Dave Daubenmire, Josh Tolley. I mean, the list goes on and on. So folks, go to hearthewatchmen.com. There are still some tickets available. Use the promo code BOISE20 and you will receive $20 off per ticket. If you can't make it there in person, please avail yourself of our live stream on demand platform. We use Vimeo now. It'll broadcast through Roku, any platform that you have, your iPad, your whatever pad you have, your cell phone, smartphone, your laptop, whatever. It's only $39.99, and that gets you 6 months of availability to that feed so that you can watch over and over and study everything all the speakers say. Pastor Carl Gallups will be there. Pastor Paul Begley will be there. You don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss this one. It's important. The information you will receive is essential. And as a bonus feature, we will be viewing the total eclipse of the sun on August 21st from an undisclosed location in the mountains of Idaho, and we will be filming it and presenting that footage. So no matter where in the world you are, if you can't see the total eclipse, you certainly can if you subscribe to that feed. And folks, I got to ask you something else. Jeannie and I need your help. We are continuing our journey with Hear the Watchman across the country, setting up more conferences and bringing the word of Jesus to as many people as we possibly can. If you go to the upper left-hand corner of our website, hearthewatchmen.com, there's a PayPal button up there. If you can donate something to help us to continue our journey of serving God, we would definitely appreciate that. So, folks, let's get right into it with Karen. Karen, talk to me a little bit about your book. What led you to write this book, and tell us about some of your experiences.
Well, before I get into that, I just want to say, talk about God's timing. You had the eclipse during the conference. That's completely wild. That's all God, right?
Absolutely.
I would really wish I could go. It's 10 hours away by plane, so I'm going to just have to be happy with the streaming. Okay, so to get into my book, again, I look at the miracle of God. I wrote it 27 years ago. Again, it was God that helped me unravel wanted me to go with these big houses. I thought they would be pushing Girl Jockey, and I really wanted this to be about my story and give the glory to God for what He showed me and brought me through. So I just waited, and the amazing thing is, this year is the year that God chose to have it out there, and now with all the pedophilia coming to the front, the timing I can see is it's all God, and with the way the internet is and all the information, because in my past, my stepfather had sexually and emotionally abused me, and that's actually the reason why I became a jockey at 16. I was running to escape, to become okay. Of course, emotionally, I blamed myself. I thought I was bad. In the book, there's the bad me, and then I wanted to be a great jockey to be okay. So there's the bad me and Karen the jockey. And so anyway, that's what I really believe. A lot of people that succeed in life, like really extremely succeed, are running from some underlying problem, because I don't think it's normal. Like, my life now is so wonderful. I don't really have this drive that I had back then, and I think it's to a lot of people, even in Hollywood, I think it's to overcome feelings of low self-esteem. But anyway, that's how I got into my racing career, which I was extremely well. 16, I was the leading female jockey in the country for quite a few years, and I was on David Letterman and Donahue, but nobody knew what was behind, like, my real story. They called me Shirley Temple. They looked at me as if I was an innocent kid, which I looked like, but I had been through, a lot of trauma, believing it was my stepfather, so I believed I ruined my mother's life. I took him away from her, which of course was, lies from the enemy. I was a victim. So anyway, but the story that I wrote is really the story behind my racing, with a lot of the racing. So anyway, the racing, as good as it was, it just shoved everything into everything was in my subconscious, all the pain. And what happened was, I met a man who was a leading trainer. He was very successful. He was the leading trainer in the country, had all the best horses, and he kind of wooed me. And at that point, I developed very late. I was 21, and so I didn't really have any desire to date, especially through what I had been through. So anyway, when I met him, I was starting to look at guys, and so he wined and dined me, and so I fell for him. But he ended up being a major manipulator who took me down. He took away he used my past to take away my family, my riding. I ended up just being like a prison in his house, even though he was worth millions. I ended up being drinking. I had been anorexic and bulimic from riding and from the body image with the sexual abuse. So my life was just basically being in the house, and even though he was running the best horses in the country, he would sleep a lot. He would tell me to close the garage door and call his father, who was also involved with the racing, and just tell him how the horse ran, call stretch calls. So we were basically leading a horrible life, but I believed I was happy. He was very into mind control. So anyway, like I said, he convinced me to quit riding, convinced me it was my idea, and it ends up that he was a terrible drug addict. He had books on Megala. He was very into mind control, and I was very suicidal at one point when I found out he was on really heavy-duty drugs, and I was in. I go so far down you can't believe it. It was just by the grace of God that I was able to get away from him. And I actually went back to riding after 5 years. But then when I still realized there was something wrong with me, and I had this anger at my mother, and I didn't know where it came from, because she was always supportive of me, and I didn't know why I believed she hated me. And so it was that, when I realized I was away from my ex-husband, that there was something really wrong with me. And that's when I started praying, like, God, what's wrong with me? I was drinking. I had been in hospitals, suicidal. So things got really bad. I think it had to get that bad for me to want to make a change, for me to say, God, either kill me or show me what's wrong with me. And I think a lot of people, it doesn't get that bad, so they don't look at their past. If there's abuse, they just kind of keep plodding along. But it does set a bad template. The abuse of my childhood set me up to pick a man that was very much like my stepfather, to fix me, to save me from what happened, and it ends up, you repeat the same problem with the same kind of a person. going on behind the scenes. So a lot of the book is like psychology, and I unfold how I met God, had an out-of-body experience. I died in a spill at Saratoga, and that's how I first realized that there was more to this life than just being in your body. And that's when I was dying, actually. When I was up in the first aid room at Saratoga, I was up on, I thought it was the ceiling, but I was up way higher. I wanted to go back to say I was sorry to my mom for ruining her life, and I was, I think, 18 at the time. And I did get back, but I got right back into my body, and I got right back focused on the horses, and I shoved it all aside again, and I got back to the worldly things that don't really matter, instead of focusing on relationships and the things that matter when you're not in your body, the real things. But it took many years, and my mother and I together did figure out what happened to me. I got the memory. She was supportive of me, even though it made her, I thought it might make her look bad because she married this man, but she was manipulated by him as well to get to me, to get to the children. And and then after all these years, God actually had me homeschool my son. I had a son, not by this, I was away from my ex-husband, but when I had a son, and I didn't think I could have kids because I had tried with him, but God had me homeschool him, and I did not want to homeschool as a single mom. So when I obeyed him and homeschooled him, then I learned grammar, I learned writing, I ended up teaching writing, and so God had this whole book all planned out, even though I didn't know it. And when my son went off to college, he said, now you can write that book you wrote before I was born. And I had all my editing skills from editing papers, and with my mom, we went into 1,500-page manuscripting and got it down to 400 pages, which was a miracle. And it was all God. What can I say?
You know, Karen, I have to interject here that you and I have prayed the very same prayer, which is, God, either kill me or save me. You know, I'm not going to get into my testimony, but I've done it on Pastor Begley's show and on somebody else's show. I can't remember who it is right now. But there was a point in my life that I said, God, either save me or kill me. And isn't it amazing what God does at that point? We have given up on ourselves at that point. We truly have. And then God comes in and lifts us up. And look what he's done with you. I mean, folks, you've got to see this book right here. I'm holding it up so everybody can see it. Racing with My Shadow, the compelling true story of America's first leading female jockey. You know, Jeannie's halfway through this book and she can hardly put it down. But Karen, you know, when you reached out in all that pain and you suffered abuse and I suppose pedophilia, which is so big today, it's very big today, and the Illuminati, you suffered through all of that, but God came and picked you up and brought you to where you are today to be someone who can do this. I mean, that is truly amazing to me.
The one thing in my life, I didn't want to face God and said, God, you let me succeed. You helped me live through it. You gave me a writing skill. You let me remember. I could write. I wrote this book and I didn't put it out. I didn't want to face the throne and say I didn't finish the job you gave me. So my goal was, no matter what, to get this book out before I died. And even though the big publishing houses wanted it, I turned them down because God told me to. I said, okay, it's your book. It's your way. I had my mom help me. I used all her pictures. I want him to get the glory. And my story is very honest. It's not preachy. It's how I met God, and it's just my walk. It's just honest. And, you know, the cool thing that I learned was when you come to the end of yourself, that's when God can work. You have to have no more agenda for yourself. And even with drinking, I couldn't stop drinking. And what I did was I finally gave it up. I said, okay, God, I can't do this, but you can. And I prayed with belief, complete faith that he could take away drinking. And I didn't pray that he would take away the alcohol. I prayed that he would take away my desire for it. And I said, I know you can do this. Just do it and it'll be done. Take away my desire and it'll be done. And I battled with this because it was my way of escaping my ex-husband and trying to kill myself. And wouldn't you know, 27 years ago, my desire for alcohol was completely gone. I have never wanted to even look at a drink. It's because I gave up my control of trying to do it, gave it to God in faith, believing, and he did it. And I think that's the
Well, Karen, I mean, that really is the truth. I mean, you're really speaking the truth right there. You know, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And that's not my
Yes.
line. It's been out there for years. But I mean, it's very true. And what happened to you is such a wonderful testimony of how your life can turn around and how you can how you can come to serve the Lord and to share your testimony with people and let them know, like, you know, if it's so interesting. And people ask me in the journey of Hear the Watchman, they'll ask me all the time, well, how does God really work? Well, he works differently in all of our lives, but he works perfectly in all of our lives. He lifted me up and changed my life around from a man who was homeless and barefoot on the streets of Los Angeles to now doing Hear the Watchman. And he lifted you up from the depths of where you were, and you've written this wonderful book. And I know you're out there trying to serve Jesus every chance you can get. I mean, it really is truly amazing, isn't it?
It is. He's amazing. His timing is perfect. And I always say, if you don't know what God has for you, just wait. Wait on God. Read the Word. The Word is a living, it's God right there. He will give you wisdom if you ask for it. He will give you everything if you ask for it and believe. And He can do great things. And He'll use everything. He'll use the bad for good. I've totally forgiven my ex-husband and my stepfather. The book was not about that. It was about helping people that have been abused to realize there is a way out. If you revisit your past and let God remold you and understand, and it's painful, but if you do the work, you'll come out the other end with a whole new life. And God helps us, but we have to be willing. We
Uh,
have to be willing to go into some deep, dark places.
Amen. Amen to that. Now, Karen, again, I'm going to hold the book up so our viewers can see it again. There you have it.
By the way, my mom is the artist. She did the cover, and
That's
God knew in 1981 when she painted that that would be the cover of my
that's
book.
right. It's an amazing cover. Again, Racing with My Shadow, the compelling true story of America's first leading female jockey by Karen Rogers. Now, Karen, how can people get your book? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go on Amazon. I also have a website. It's www.racingwithmyshadow, no spaces.com, and that's where you can contact me. There's pictures. There's a little bit of just a little bit of information. And if they want to contact me, they can. I would love to speak wherever anybody wants me to come and wherever God opens doors. But the book is available on Amazon, so that's where you can get it. And like I said, if you read it, whatever you think, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love reviews. But mainly, it's really to give people hope and realize they're not alone in all the suffering, but there is hope. And it's just a very, very honest account of what I went through, written in my words, with no help, no editors, no nothing. It's all me. So you don't. There's nobody in between saying what I thought, what I did. It's all me. You go. It's from me to you. So.
Well, God bless you for what you're doing and having the courage, which I know that you got the courage through God to tell your story and to let other women know out there, and I suppose men too, but to let other women know out there that you can recover from the abuse. You can recover from it. You know, it's a heinous secret that we have in society today of everything that we hide this and push it down. And folks, there's absolutely no way to stop this kind of behavior. As Russ Dizdar and I talked about the other day, it's the sexual decadence of America, and there's no way to stop it if we don't expose it. And I mean, I've got to tell you, it's man, I mean, it's something fierce. I mean, if you've been suffering from physical, sexual, mental abuse, you will gain hope and faith by reading this book. So if you're one of the people out there that's listening to our show, and you're being sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused, you want to read Karen Rogers' book because it'll give you the courage and the hope to get through what you're going through, and it'll give you a roadmap of how to get from where you are to a much better place in life. So Karen, thank you so much. Again, that website is racingwithmyshadow.com. Go there, check out her book, get in touch with Karen, and I'll tell you what, Karen, we're trying our best to get back to the East Coast and do a Hear the Watchman conference there on the East Coast and closer to you. And I tell you what, we get back there, we want you to be there with us. Your message is incredible. God bless you. Thank you so much for spending time today here on the Watchman Report.
Well, thank you, Mike. I would love that. I would love to be part of helping your ministry, and I encourage people to get online and check you guys out. And you're on the front lines too, fighting the enemy, exposing the truth. And like I say, John 8:32, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so I encourage everyone to help out your ministry too. Thanks again. God bless you.
Amen. God bless you, Karen. Now listen, everybody, until the next time that I see you here on the Watchman's Report, and by the way, normally, we do a video, but today was only audio because the enemy didn't want Karen's voice to be heard today. The enemy attacked her computer and all that stuff, but we didn't stop. We kept going and figured out a way to give you this message today. But until the next time I see you on the Watchman's Report, God bless each and every one of you. Understand that there's nothing to be afraid of. Just be informed. Turn it all over to God, and it's all going to be good. God bless you all. We'll see you next time on the Watchman's Report.